Welcome to another installment of the Mastercam Studio at ProtoTek. This exclusive video series features the exceptional functionality found only within Mastercam, the #1 most widely used cam software in the world. Here's the topic of today's video.
Today we're going to take a look at the dynamic contour toolpath. Now, where would you use this toolpath? Anytime that you have to semi-finish a cut before you get to an actual finished contour cut, this toolpath is great for that. So let's go ahead and take a look at that on the screen. So on my screen here, I have a part, and what I'm focusing in on is this green surface here. So this green surface has a lot of little areas that my bigger end mill that I roughed this out with will not be able to get in. So I'm going to kind of limit this out here, and we're just going to consolidate this to see our part to make our screen look a little easier just by utilizing our levels manager. Now, I already have a toolpath done. This is a 1/2" end mill that I came and roughed this out with. Now, I came with the 1/2" end mill because that's probably the quickest way I can get the material out of this bigger sized pocket. So I'm going to do this first, and we're going to come back and semi-finish this with a smaller tool. So let's go ahead and take a look at my 2D dynamic toolpath, and I'm just going to let this run. Now, one trick here is to turn on the quick or simple verify here, and that'll color everything orange where that tool path went. Now if I look at this, you can see that I have quite a bit of material left over in these green areas. That tool simply couldn't get in them areas. So when I come back to finish this outside wall, I'm going to utilize that information. So our dynamic contour toolpath will dynamically rough that out and then give me a nice even finish when I run my contour pass on the outside. So let's go ahead and take a look at tool pathing this. Now, like I said, before I get there, there are some tools in Mastercam we can utilize. I have no idea what size tool will actually fit in here, and it looks, just by me looking at it, it looks like an 1/8" tool. So what I can utilize here is I can utilize check tool reach. If I go up to check tool reach, I can pick my whole part, and I can type in a cutting diameter. Maybe I go to 1/8", and now I can simply just preview my results. And what Mastercam will kind of do is it's going to tell me some information here. Now I'm starting to see some colors in these corners. I know that 1/8" is not going to be able to, it's not going to allow my tool to reach there, we could say, or my 1/8". It's going to be pretty much an unreachable tool situation here. So I know that I have to go down a little bit smaller. If I go ahead and type in maybe a 3/32 and preview that one, now I'm seeing all blue. So now I know that a 3/32 end mill is going to be my go-to here to finish this. So to find the contour 2D tool path here, it's going to be in the second row, and it's called dynamic contour. Now, once again, this is the only tool path in Mastercam where we can dynamically rough out a part and then come back and finish it all in the same tool path. So I'm going to go to dynamic contour, and one thing you'll notice right off the bat here is this is the same chain options page as our dynamic 2D, but we have a lot of limits here. Everything that's grayed out in Mastercam currently isn't available. All it really wants is a chain. So I'm going to go ahead and pick my machining regions, and I'm going to utilize our solid chaining selection and outer shared edges, and I'm simply just going to go and pick the green surface. Now once I have that chained, I'm going to go ahead and look at my situation here. Now maybe I don't want to go this direction, so I could flip the direction, and I can also change my dynamic start point here. And if I go ahead and move my mouse, you'll notice that my green arrow moves to where I left clicked, and now I'll be leading in and leading out from there for my finish pass, which can be important. Once we get into the tool path here, I'm going to grab my tool. Once again, a 3/32 flat end mill. My cut parameters page, I'm just going to leave this page the way it is. If you are used to our dynamic 2D, it's the same exact page. And that's kind of the nice thing for the end users in Mastercam is now we can learn one page, and that can go across a bunch of tool paths in Mastercam, so we're not constantly learning a bunch of pages for different tool paths. As far as contour wall goes, this is going to be our semi-finishing page. So Mastercam wants to know what roughed this pocket out previous, so it knows how much material is left there to apply its dynamic motion tool path. So we just need to fill in some variables here. The first one is the radius of the tool that shaped the stock. That would have been a 1/4 inch. The minimum tool path radius that shaped the stock. I know just by programming that I left 100 thousandths in there. And then the stock thickness. How much material did you leave on the walls? And I'll have 5/1000 in the roughing op. Finishing. So this is an extra parameter here that you typically don't get in our roughing tool pass. So if I turn on finish pass, now I can tell it how many number of passes do I want at what spacing. Essentially right now what I'm telling this tool path to do is leave 5/1000. So it's going to go along that whole wall that I picked, and it's going to find any extra material there and ensure that there's 5/1000 of material. Now where's that important? It's 100% tool engagement. I want 5/1000 to maintain chip load along that whole contour that I'll be putting there, so I get a nice finish, no chatter, and then my tool is running in optimum conditions. As far as other options in here, we can override the feed rate just on the finishing. We can override the spindle speed, and we can machine the finish passes at final depth if I were doing depth cuts. The option below here is going to give me my option for compensation. These are going to be all your standard compensation cycles that you run. So just pick what you prefer. As far as lead in, lead out, this is your standard lead in and lead out page. So if you are applying compensation, this is where it'll be done. You can run this the way you run every other toolpath in Mastercam with lead in and lead out. And linking parameters, this is exactly the same as you're used to. In this case, I'm just going incremental depths, and I'm going to go ahead and generate this toolpath. So we're going to get a pretty quick generation of a tool path here. And one thing we're going to notice is my blue center lines of cut are pretty much just where there was material left over. And as we looked at it previous, where the green areas were next to the orange, that's all material that Mastercam has to process to cut out of there dynamically and to give me a nice even finish when I go around this part. So if we go ahead and backplot this, I'm going to slow this down. We're going to start to see that great Mastercam dynamic motion that everybody should be utilizing for tool wear, maintaining chip load, and efficiency in the tool path. So as you can see, my first cut is going to work its way around, all the way around, and then it'll come back to a point where it's going to start to dynamically scoop out these areas, maintaining my 5/1000 of stock left over, as you can see here. Nice consistent stock that's left over for that finish pass, and that's very important, like I said, and that's what this tool path is all about. So I definitely hope you can go back and start to utilize this tool path in any situations like this where you rough something out, but you got a little bit more material left over in corners or little areas that bigger tool couldn't get into. This is a lifesaver for them smaller tools, like in this case here, and even bigger tools potentially too, where you want to maintain chip load throughout the cut. And as always, for the best training, the best support, and the best software on the planet, definitely contact ProtoTek Engineering. And as far as any other YouTube videos, make sure you check out our YouTube channel for specifics in Mastercam that can make you a better programmer. And thanks for watching our video.